Right now, I want to get a couple of guests on. Samantha Previte from the Action Network and Scott Engel from Sportsline are joining us. We're going to talk about 3 players that we draft a lot. Let's get Samantha and Scott to join us now. There's Scott Engel and there's Samantha. Good evening, guys. And lady, Samantha, how you doing?
I'm doing so great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being a part of this special night, and we were thrilled to have you on. Scott Engel, what's up?
Hey, good to see you, Adam. And it's always a homecoming to be with my good friend Dave Richard, and Samantha. Pleasure to be with you as well.
So I wanted to ask you guys 3 players that you draft a lot. Samantha, why don't you go first? Tell us players that you keep on drafting.
Yeah, some players that maybe are not super, super popular that I've been drafting a lot of are Matt Ryan at QB 14. Of the quarterbacks just currently consensus ranked outside of the top 12, I just think he has a really clear path to finish inside that. Yes, he lost Julio, but I'm super, super excited about Kyle Pitts this season. And I think Atlanta's going to be in a number of negative game scripts. So I think that's going to be really awesome for Matt Ryan. He's like, I've seen him falling super, super late in drafts. So he's been a really good QB2 target for me. And the wide receiver side, I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially with the news of Rashad Perriman getting released yesterday. He's wide receiver 79 in half PPR, and he just has a very clear path to be a wide receiver 1 in, yes, it's not a sexy offense, a Jared Goff-led offense, but I think he has just such little competition, and I'm really, really excited about him. And then the final guy that I'm going to say is James White at RB48. He's an obvious PPR target, but with Mac Jones under center, Jones has significantly more arm strength than Newton, admittedly a low bar, but he's not super accurate with the deep passes, so I think that White's going to see a lot of targets. This is going to be a really good bounce back year for him.
Oh man, that's definitely one that's on a lot of my teams as well. And James White, I just think, I say it all the time. James White, Giovanni Bernard, J.D. McKissick, maybe Nyheim Hines. PPR leagues are just going so much later than they usually go. I guess none of them had. Well, McKissick had a good year last year, but none of them had that great Tariq Cohen type year. So. You get great value on them. All right, we're going to get Scott's in a second. But, Scott, I want you to talk about anything you heard there from Samantha that if you find interesting. Matt Ryan, I admit, I've been passing him up. I feel like, first of all, I'm sure most of us have our QB1 before Matt Ryan. But even as, I don't know why I've gravitated toward, Ben Roethlisberger, maybe a guy like Tua who might have more upside. Maybe I'm overlooking Matt Ryan. Samantha also said Amon-Ra St. Brown and James White. Scott, what stood out to you from those 3?
Matt Ryan gets overlooked, but quarterback is deep. So, that's really, good advice if you're playing Superflex, because Superflex leagues are growing so much. You don't have to, when you're playing Superflex, you don't have to go bang, 2 superstar quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds. If you get a Mahomes, a Murray in the first round, you can wait a few rounds and you can get Matt Ryan as your second Superflex quarterback. And I think you'll be very happy. Ryan's not considered, an exciting name anymore, but that team's going to still throw a lot. I think they'll have more offensive balance with Mike Davis there, but with Calvin Ridley, with Russell Gage, with Kyle Pitts, who Samantha mentioned, that's still going to be a pass-first offense, I think. With Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's really about opportunity. There's not a whole lot there. The Lions, they have the worst receiving crew in the NFC. And then, if you're looking for those pass-catching backs, another name to file away is Kenneth Gainwell of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right, that's a good point. All right, give me 3 players that you draft a lot, Scott.
Yeah, Michael Carter of the New York Jets is somebody that I'm getting a lot on the 6-7 turn. I know there's a lot of reports of the Jets' backfield being muddled, but this Jets regime just has to be smarter than the last one. And it would not be smart to leave maybe their most dynamic player on offense, other than Elijah Moore, they're both dynamic, off the field. Now, Jacob Gibbs in our fantasy football draft Bible at Sportsline, you have to read his comprehensive breakdown of Michael Carter and just everything he does. The kid's electric. He doesn't need to be a feature back. He's versatile. He can be about efficiency. He averaged 8 yards a carry in his last year in college. If the Jets want to win ball games, he's a much-needed dynamic element to that offense. Speaking of electric, you down there in South Florida, Dave, you get a chance to see this kid up close. Yep. Jalen Waddle, with busting ankles, enjoyed practices, playing with his former college teammate. He could end up being the number one wide receiver for the Dolphins right away. Comparisons to Tyreek Hill. Tua doesn't have to throw downfield to him. This kid can be a yardage after the catch demon and beat defenses in so many ways, and they have the established connection. And the other guy that I'm getting very late in drafts, although he's moving up a little bit to say round 12 instead of round 15, is Gerald Everett of the Seahawks. Last year, the Seahawks in the second half of the year, the offense really sputtered because defenses were playing two safety high looks against them, and they didn't adjust. Russell Wilson had 6 points, 6 games below 20 fantasy points, and 3 of actually below 16 points. The Seahawks this year under new offensive coordinator Shane Waldron are going to take what defenses give them, a high percentage passing game, more efficient in moving the ball, and Gerald Everett's a part of that. There's reports out of Seattle he's going to operate as essentially the third wide receiver. They want to get yardage after the catch. Last year, Everett was third among all tight ends in yardage per reception after the catch. He's going to be a factor in that Seahawks offense as they try to move the ball more efficiently and on key downs and near the goal line. You could see Gerald Everett become a fantasy tight end 1 this year.
Dave, you talked about Everett on the podcast. I think that's airing tomorrow that we recorded earlier today. That's really an interesting take, but I actually want to get everybody's opinion on Jalen Waddle versus Will Fuller. I'm guessing Scott's going Waddle there. Dave, where are you going, Waddle or Fuller?
I'm going Waddle as well. Scott's right. I saw him up close. And honestly, I've watched him in the preseason, and there were times this preseason where he was getting open and Tua was missing him. And usually when I see that happen early on in the year, it's corrected soon thereafter. So I think that there's a real opportunity for Jalen Waddle to pick up a lot of catches and be used as sort of that short and mid-range target. And that'll help Tua. That's where breakout quarterbacks come from, is having that target inside of 20 yards, but after 10 yards down the field. Waddle's perfect for that. He gets open on a slant every time. Will Fuller missing week 1. We don't know how many other games he's going to miss because that's something that he's typically done over the course of his career. He's only played with Deshaun Watson. His best numbers have come with Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's going to be used the same way in Miami as he was in Houston. I think Waddle is clear and away the better receiver to take in fantasy.
Samantha, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Fuller has some upside definitely in best ball formats just because of the way he is in terms of like missing games and that risk. So that's obviously mitigated in best ball formats. But yeah, with Waddle, it seems like a way better team fit with Tua's skill set. So I'm absolutely leaning him if it's between those two.
And Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you're going Waddle over Fuller. So I'm going to ask you Waddle or Devontae Smith.
I'm going to go Waddle because with Devontae Smith, as much as I like him, I think it's a lot to ask a rookie wide receiver and to come in and be the number one wide receiver for his team right away and be more of a focus of defensive game plans and backfields right away. You know, they're both upside plays, but I think Devontae Smith is going to face more defensive attention. Whereas Miami has Parker, they have Fuller, they have, you know, at wide receiver, I'm not even counting in the tight end. Waddle is my favorite rookie wide receiver, maybe my favorite rookie outside of Najee Harris.
Wow. Okay, so I want to talk about a giveaway real quick. We're giving away CBS Commissioner Leagues. Donate in the next 5 minutes and leave your Twitter handle. This is an amazing value. You want to get a free CBS Commissioner League. Just make a donation to St. Jude in the next 5 minutes, and please leave your Twitter handle. We're giving away so much stuff all throughout the night. Remember, we're live until midnight Eastern. We're having a lot of fun giving away a lot of stuff here. And now it is time for some more donations. It is time for our trivia questions. I got 2 for Samantha and Scott. All right, so this one I think is actually pretty hard. This is probably the hardest one so far. I'm sorry. But I know Scott's an NFC West guy, so maybe you have a little insight. We'll see. All right, here we go. There were 3, oddly enough, 3 NFC West running backs who caught exactly 4 touchdowns last year. 4 touchdown catches by NFC West running backs. Can you name 2 of them?
Chris Carson.
Yeah.
And Cam Akers.
Okay, that's incorrect. Samantha, they added 2. NFC West running back?
Chase Edmonds.
Yes, we got it. Yes.
That's what I thought first, and then I said no. Okay.
Now, Dave,
Teamwork there, though. That's cool.
Totally random guess. So
Dave, if you get the third one, I will mail you like a case of Snickers.
A case of Snickers?
Yeah.
So that means it's somebody that's probably out of the way. I'll say Kyle Juszczyk, but I don't think he had 4 touchdowns.
You got it. You got it. Case of Snickers. Woo, coming your way.
Snickers party at my house, everybody. Woo-hoo.
All right, $50 donated. Next trivia question number 2. Name the top 5 running backs in average draft position. This is both CBS ADP, Fantasy Pros Consensus, PPR ADP. I'm going to say not in order because it depends on the site. I think you guys can get this. Top 5 running backs in ADP.
This is easier than the last one.
Yes.
McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Henry, Zeke.
Samantha, we agree, disagree?
I agree.
$50 more.
I'll disagree just to be a stickler.
That was pretty easy. I probably should have gone with the 6th one, but I didn't think there was a consensus. But yes, it is McCaffrey, Cook, Henry, Kamara, and Zeke. You guys, let's say you have the 3rd pick. Who do you take? Samantha, who's your 3rd overall pick?
Alvin Kamara.
Scott?
I'm going to go Alvin Kamara in a single QB, and I will go Kyler Murray in a super flex.
I'm going to ask you one more question, rankings question. Rank these 3 wide receivers. Chase Claypool, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins. Dave, you go first. Claypool, Ayuk, Higgins.
I actually did something before I came down here. I was looking at the 49ers, and I had a revelation about Ayuk. The ranking that I now have is Higgins, Claypool, Ayuk.
Oh, a bad revelation about Ayuk. Okay, we'll get into that in a moment. Scott, Claypool, Ayuk, Higgins.
I actually have the 2 of them close to each other. I have Higgins at 21. I think he's going to be the best of the wide receivers from Cincinnati this year. Ayuk at 22. I think he's going to have a breakout. Chase Claypool isn't consistent for me. I have him at 39.
Wow. Okay. Samantha.
Yeah, I have it Higgins, Ayuk, and Claypool. I'm super high on Higgins, especially with some of the reports that Jamar Chase isn't looking necessarily as good as we hoped. So, and then I think that Deontay Johnson is going to be the top target of that offense. So, but it's all pretty close in terms of Ayuk and Claypool.
T. Higgins, what a monster season he had. I think 5 of his last 6 games with Burrow, he had more than 70 yards. So looking forward, he's number 1 for me as well in that group. Samantha, Scott, thank you for joining us.
Want more of the Fantasy Football Today podcast and nonstop year-round fantasy advice? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button and hang with us all throughout the year.